Hey guys, it's Charles from Tech Always, and today I'm going to be talking about a few quick upgrades that I made to my PC. I'm going to talk about how and where I got the parts, and then I'm going to show a few quick benchmarks, show off what kind of difference it made in my personal life. So let's get right into it. So the first upgrade I made was a CPU upgrade, but it wasn't anything new like an 8700K. I went from a 4690K to a 4790K. This way I was able to stay on my Z97 motherboard and keep all my DDR3 RAM, because if I had to upgrade all of that, it would have been a much more expensive upgrade. And I actually got a crazy deal on the 4790K. So my friend bought the CPU off a guy who had just upgraded to an 8700K, and he just wanted to get rid of the 4790K, so he sold it to my friend for $60. So my friend was on Discord with me, we were playing some games, and he was complaining about how much work it was going to be to upgrade to this 4790K, how he was going to have to take his whole PC apart, and it was just going to be a lot of work. And I told him I'd give him $80, which is $20 more than he just paid for the CPU, and I would be at his house to pick it up in 5 minutes. And he said, okay. So I jumped right in the car, went to my friend's house, picked up the CPU, paid him, and it was all good to go. And this is a crazy deal for just $80. The CPU is 4 cores, 8 threads, so while it's not as good as a 6-core Coffee Lake 8700K, it'll still be fairly close to a 7700K or a 6700K, but I don't need to pay for a new motherboard or RAM, so that saves me hundreds of dollars. So now once I get into my system, I'm going to do a little bit of overclocking on it, and then I'll see how it compares to my 4690K, which I was running at 4.6 GHz, and I was able to get a Cinebench score of 688 with. So the next upgrade I got was an Inland Professional 480GB SSD. So this drive was really cheap. It was $64 for a 480GB SSD. I'm not expecting crazy performance out of this drive, I just want something that's going to be much faster than a hard drive, and while I know it won't compete with other high-end SSDs and it'll probably be slower than my Intel 600P SSD that I have in the PC right now, it'll still be great for adding a little bit more storage to my PC because I currently have 12 gigabytes of free space. But once I get into the PC, I'll run some benchmarks and see how it performs to my other drives. So the last upgrade that I made was actually a GPU downgrade. If you guys remember my $400 build from my last video, which was 9 months or so ago, not gonna happen again. Yeah, if you remember that video, there was a Zotac GTX 970 in the build. And after that video was done, I put it into my personal rig, replacing either a 780 Ti or a 960. I don't really remember what was in there at the time, but yeah. So I've been using that card for almost a year now, and in the past little bit, it started to have pretty frequent crashes, and it's been hard to game for more than about 45 minutes without the game crashing. I would sometimes make it a little past there, sometimes it would be pretty quickly. Once you launch the game up, it would crash, but it just wasn't really worth it with all these frequent crashes. So I'm going to be replacing that 970 with my old EVGA 960. So while this is going to be a performance downgrade, I think it'll be worth it because I won't have to deal with crashes anymore. And I think as long as I lower the settings enough, I'll still be able to run games on my ultra-wide monitor. But now that I've gone through all those upgrades and changes I'm making to my PC, let's go and put all those upgrades in, and I'll show you guys what the result is. Okay, so I just put all the parts in. The camera died during the time lapse, so that's not finished. And now the dog is barking. Okay, so the part, Okay, so all the parts are in now, and I ran a few quick tests. I ran Cinebench for the CPU, Fortnite for the GPU, and Crystal Disk Mark on all of my drives to show off what the performance differences are like, and just starting off in the same order that I talked about the new parts. So on Cinebench, the old 4690K at 4.6 GHz was able to get 688, and that's a pretty good score. But the 4790K, which I was also able to get up to 4.6 GHz, got all the way up to 899. So it would have been nice to get 900 just because, like, you know, numbers. The $899 is still really good. It's about a 30% increase in CPU performance versus my old CPU. So for $80, I'd say that was definitely worth it. And then getting to the next upgrade, the SSD. So even though this is kind of a no-name brand and it's probably not the best SSD, it still performs about 5 times faster than a hard drive, and it's pretty close actually to my Intel 600p SSD. And while the numbers are close, when I'm actually using it, it's indistinguishable from the 600p to me. So while maybe some SSD snob would be able to tell them apart, being like, oh, that's half a second slower loading things up, I can't really tell the difference, so I'm really happy with it, and it might become my go-to SSD just because of how cheap it is. And I forgot to mention before, I picked it up from Micro Center, and it was on sale, and I used a $5 coupon. That's how I got it down to 64. But now coming to the GPU, I played a little bit of Fortnite. So before I was able to get, on the settings I used, I'll have them up on screen, I was able to get around 75 FPS. With the 960, I was only able to get about 45 FPS on those same settings. But if I lowered down the settings a little bit, I was able to get it to around mid 70s, never drop below 60 without touching the resolution scaling, which I was happy about. Because I don't really care about how the game looks as long as it's running at full resolution. So those were just a few quick upgrades I made to my PC recently, but I hope you guys still liked the video. It was mostly just to get me used to being on camera again because it's been so long. But don't worry, I'm definitely going to try and make some more videos in the near future, so look forward to those. But if you guys like this video, be sure to like it. If you want to see more content like this, be sure to subscribe. And if you want notifications when I upload videos, be sure to hit that little bell next to the subscribe button. Thanks for watching. Bye.